You're with Radio Sri Lanka on 97.4 and 97.6 FM.
Precisely 1:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Romesh Piris and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. The UNFPA commends President's policy in gender inequality and women empowerment. The program to distribute free rice to 2.9 million low-income families commences in the Colombo district. The cabinet approval for foreign firms to enter fuel retail market in Sri Lanka. An injunction preventing hearing of petition against SGIG Tennakon extended. The price of all vegetables have reduced considerably in the Paliagoda Manning market. The veteran singer and musician Professor Sangeet Nipun Sanath Nandasiri passes away. International news. Prime Minister Netanyahu delays legal reforms after day of strikes. Sports cricket. Sri Lanka hopes of direct qualification to the Cricket World Cup 2023 remains hanging by a thread. Local news in detail. The United Nations Population Fund has commended President Ranil Wickremesinghe's policy in gender equality and women empowerment. This was conveyed by the Director of the Evaluation Office, Marcos Segon, at a meeting held yesterday. He further praised the leadership and the commitment of the President in promoting evaluation, in particularly in the public sector, which they said will play a significant role in addressing the challenges faced by Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that Sri Lanka will become the first country in the region to adopt a green economy as the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Power and Energy and the Climate Change Office work together to introduce a green economic policy focused on renewable energy within the next 2 months. President Wickremesinghe expressed his aim to place Sri Lanka at the forefront of a green economic policy, much like its success in tea exports. He made these remarks during a meeting with investors who attended the Sri Lanka Green Energy Summit, which took place at the President's office on Monday. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says the Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to award licenses to China's Sinopec, Australia's United Petroleum and RM Parks of the USA in collaboration with multinational oil and gas company Shell plc to enter the fuel retail market in Sri Lanka. In a Twitter message, he said that the Energy Committee and other relevant procurement committees had given their approval and recommendation to award the 3 companies the licenses to operate. The minister said that the 3 companies will each be allocated 150 dealer-operated fuel stations, which are currently operated by Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Further, he added that a further 50 fuel stations at new locations will be established by each selected company. The minister tweeted that they will be granted a license to operate for 20 years to import, store, distribute and sell petroleum products in Sri Lanka. The Court of Appeal today ordered the extension of the interim order issued pertaining to the hearing of a petition filed against a senior DIG of the Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakon. Accordingly, the relevant interim order was extended until 19th May 2023 by the Appellate Court when a writ petition filed by the SDIG against the said petition seeking its dismissal was taken up in court this morning. A private complaint was filed before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court against senior DIG Tennakon in relation to a large sum of money found by Aragalia protesters at the President's house in Fort Colombo on the 9th of July 2022. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. Continuing with more stories here at home. The Parliament is scheduled to convene only on Tuesday, 4th of April, the coming Parliament week. This was decided at the Committee on Parliamentary Business held under the chairmanship of Speaker Honourable Mahinda Yapa Abewardena. Accordingly, the Parliament will convene on the 4th of April at 9:30 am. Instead of the second parliamentary week in April from 18th to the 22nd of 2023, it was also decided by the Committee on Parliamentary Business that the Parliament will convene from Tuesday 25th of April to Friday 28th of April. Veteran singer and musician Professor Sangeet Nipun Sanath Nandasiri has passed away at the age of 81. One of the iconic singers in Sri Lankan music, Sanath Nandasiri is also a music director and composer who has received several awards for his compositions in a career spanning more than 6 decades. He served as a Chancellor of the University of Visual and Performing Arts in Sri Lanka. He first appeared on Sinhala radio at the age of 13 in 1955. He was also the playback singer of over 30 popular Sinhala movies, including Ahas Kawa, Dulika, Sihinalowak, Pembara Madhu, and Sanasuma. In 2019, a collection of 100 lyrics and chords of Nandasiri's songs titled Rasanandaya was released at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. In the same year, he was honoured with Janabhimani Honorary Award at the BMICH. According to family sources, the arrangements of Professor Sanath Nandasiri's final rites will be announced later. That's local news for the moment.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The program to distribute free rice to 2.9 million low-income families commenced in the Colombo district under the patronage of President's Senior Advisor on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff, Sagala Ratnayaka. The program was carried out with a focus on the Dematagoda, Narahempita and Vallavata areas which fall under the Timbirigasiya Divisional Secretariat Division. The President's Media Division said as part of the program, 995 recipients received bags of rice at the Mihindu Sempura Community Hall in Dematagoda. 448 recipients received rice at the Dabra Mavata Community Hall in Narahempita. 169 recipients were given rice at the Ranjan Vijay Ratnapura Community Hall in Vallavata. The distribution of free rice to low-income families for 2 months is part of the government's 2022-2023 Maha-season rice purchase and rice stock disposal program, which was implemented on the instructions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The prices of all vegetables have reduced considerably in the Paligoda Manning Market. According to the president of the Paligoda Manning Market Association, H.M. Upasena, the high supply and low demand had contributed to the drop in prices. Prices of beans, carrot, brinjal, tomatoes, leeks, cabbage and capsicum have reduced considerably at the Manning Market. Meanwhile, following the appreciation of Sri Lanka rupee against the US dollar, prices of the number of essential commodities have reduced. Minister of Trade Nalin Fernando has noted that the prices of imported items will reduce further in the next few weeks.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB New Year Bonanza. Special gifts and vouchers available till the 10th of April. Special discounts up to 20% on bank cards. CIB, excellence in customer care.
World News Headlines.
Special.
Prime Minister Netanyahu delays legal reforms after days of strikes. 6 killed by 28-year-old in Tennessee in Nashville school shooting. Hamza Yusuf succeeds Nicola Sturgeon as SNP leader. World News in detail. An uneasy calm is returning to Israel after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced he would delay a key part of controversial plans to overhaul the justice system. On Monday night, he said he would pause the legislation to prevent a rupture among our people. However, it is unclear what a delay will achieve beyond buying time. It followed intensified protests after he fired his defense minister who had spoken against the plans. Unprecedented events, the country's biggest trade union called a strike. The Israeli Watch Society closed down around them. Opposition leader Yair Lapid called it the biggest crisis in the history of the country. 6 people have been killed in a school shooting in the U.S. city of Nashville, Tennessee. 3 of the victims were pupils aged 9 or under at a Covenant School, a privately run Christian school. The adult victims were employees. Covenant School has about 200 students and teacher pupils for about 3 years old up to around 12. Police named the suspect as a 28-year-old woman, Audrey Hale, who identified as transgender. Hale was armed with 3 guns, including a semi-automatic rifle, and was shot dead by police. In the meantime, Hamza Yusuf has been elected to succeed Nicola Sturgeon as SNP leader and Scotland's next First Minister. He was widely seen as being the preferred candidate of the SNP establishment, including Ms. Sturgeon herself. The Health Secretary was endorsed by far more MSPs and MPs than his 2 rivals, with Deputy First Minister John Swinney predicting that Mr. Yusuf would complete our journey to independence. That's World News.
Development News.
The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says 7 companies have submitted expression of interest for the proposed new refinery in Hambantota by the deadline yesterday. In a tweet, Minister Wijesekara told that the Technical Evaluation Committee and other procurement committees will evaluate the EOIs and issue the requested proposals to suitable applicants. That's on development news. Moving on to sports news. Sri Lanka picked up 5 crucial Super League points when their ODI against New Zealand was abandoned, but their hopes of direct qualification to the Cricket World Cup 2023 remain hanging by a thread. New Zealand's fickle weather has once again proven costly for Sri Lanka as the second ICC Men's Cricket World Cup Super League ODI between the 2 sides was abandoned without a ball bowled. The frustrating outcome in the second ODI of the series has left Sri Lanka's direct qualification hopes for this year's ICC Men's Cricket World Cup hanging by a thread with 1 match to play. That's on sports news.
Seneha Sedayada from NSB. NSB is proud to present the NSB Hapan account with a deposit of 2,000 rupees for all children born in March 2023 from NSB.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
SoftLogic Finance PLC, a subsidiary of SoftLogic Capital PLC, has announced the appointment of Yvonne Brohier as its Chief Executive Officer with effect from Monday. Brohier, who has been serving as the acting CEO and Chief Financial Officer, will commence duties as the first ever female CEO at SoftLogic Finance. With over 15 years of extensive experience in business strategy, financial reporting, strategic financial management, process improvements, information systems, and handling statutory audits, Brohier brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to support the company's growth and success.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank.
Seneha Sedayada from NSB. Commemorating International Women's Day and their 51st anniversary in March, NSB is proud to present the NSB Hapan account with a deposit of 2,000 rupees for all children born in March 2023. Enjoy a host of benefits throughout March. A tribute to motherhood and our future generation from NSB.
Economic News, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
The Cabinet granted approval for 3 leading global fuel suppliers, China's Sinopec, Australia's United Petroleum, and RM Parks of the United States of America, to enter the fuel retail market in Sri Lanka in collocation with Shell Company. 3 companies will be awarded 150 dealer-operated fuel stations each in the country. The government has decided to liberalize fuel trade in the country by opening it up to many players. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is the key player in the market. Besides, Lankan Indian Oil Company accounts for nearly 1/3 of local fuel supply. That's on Economic News.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather report.
The Department of Meteorology predicts showers or thunder showers at a few places in the western Sabaragamu, Uva and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle, Madura and Mannar districts during the afternoon or night. Meanwhile, the general public have been requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. That's the weather update, and before we wind up this bulletin of news, back to the headlines. The UNFPA commends President's policy in gender and equality and women empowerment. The program to distribute free rice to 2.9 million low-income families commences in the Colombo district. The cabinet approval for foreign firms to enter fuel retail market in Sri Lanka. An injunction preventing hearing a petition against SDIG Thennakoon extended. The prices of all vegetables have reduced considerably in the Paligoda Manning market. The veteran singer and musician Professor Sangeet Nipun Sanat Nandasiri passes away. International news: Prime Minister Netanyahu delays legal reforms after a day of strikes. Sports cricket: Sri Lanka hopes of direct qualification to the Sri Lanka World Cup 2023 remains hanging by a thread. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. You're listening to Radio Sri Lanka.